So Bill Maher said a while ago, we're going to tone down the attacks against Trump and his supporters because it could very well lead to a civil war. Bill Maher actually said that on the show.
I didn't realize that. That's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Good for him.
Later on,
That's huge.
he said there can't be a civil war because the Mason-Dixon line would go through Nana's kitchen or something like that, which is like a really dumb statement. It's like he thinks time stopped the moment he said those words. Bro, the future is a thing, and things can change. Does he think that like in 1861 they're like there can't possibly be a civil war? Yeah, a lot of people thought that exactly. So it's like who do you think you are? You have no idea what could happen. We got all these counties in Oregon just voted to secede from the state and join Idaho. They literally voted to do that. Now whether or not it'll happen, probably not, but the sentiment is there. Now you have through obviously there's cultural issues, but ultimately it comes down to tribal issues. For tribal reasons, people are choosing to do things. Like David Hogg, I'm going to wear a mask so that no one thinks I'm a conservative.
I'm a Republican. It's insane.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the CDC guidelines. There was we had Elijah Schaffer on the show the other day, and now he's flying back out. And he has this tweet. It's fantastic. He said they made an announcement over the intercom on the plane that even though the CDC changed the guidelines on masks, the federal government is still requiring everybody abide by this, which leaves all of these people on the plane confused because they were supposed to do what the CDC said. Now they're being told they can't. So anyway, I digress on that point.
Dude,
It was never about listening to the science.
Right. So I bring that up because it is totally tribal. And now we are getting the physical dividing line between the tribes.
Well, have you heard the
real quick,
idea of like when your tribe expands and contracts?
Well, just one more point. There's a story from NPR that shows if you look at all of the states on a scale of the highest per capita vaccinations to the lowest, there's a line right through the middle. And there's like a weird gap. All of the states that are higher in per capita vaccinations, who did they vote for in 2020?
I have no idea.
Joe Biden.
Biden.
And on the other side, they're all red except for the 4 states that were contested by Trump and his team, and I think Missouri. I'm not sure Missouri was contested, but that makes sense.
It's kind of a swing state.
All the Trump supporting states are lower on the vaccination per capita, and the states that were like really close and were being contested are also slightly lower, and then all the hard blue pro Biden states totally like high 70%, 75% vaccinations. So Washington, they're now rolling out vaccine passports. New York, we're going to see it everywhere. But what's happening is it's not a hardcore thing where they're like, California isn't coming out and saying you must have a vaccine passport or else. They're saying, yes, come in. And if you're not vaccinated, you can go into the bathroom and sit down and have your beer, but you can't be near other people. They're making people not participate socially, which creates not a mandate, but a social pressure toward these things, which means, like I mentioned, people who live in New York who won't live that way will go to Florida or Texas. I know, how many people do you guys know moved to Texas recently?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
Texas and Florida.
A bunch.
Too. Texas and Florida.
We had some guests here, and I'm not going to say who they are because I don't know if they've announced they're moving to Texas, but they're like, yeah, I'm moving to Texas. And I'm like,
multiple people, yeah.
Several people. And Florida, Luke, who was on this show for 2 months, Luke Urkowski, we are changed. Luke, what are you doing, you traitor? He went to Florida.
Yeah, I moved to the South about 6 years ago.
So how was it?
Went down there for school and never left. So I don't know anyone who's moving to Texas because I'm already in the South. There's nowhere to go.
DeSantis is doing a pretty good job. Yeah. Not perfect, but nobody is. And he's doing probably one of the best jobs in the country as a governor, in my opinion. And so people want to be there. But I don't like living in, people need to understand the humidity in Florida is so intense. You're swimming. You're like, you basically just underwater.
Trump left. He's like, I'm not doing this. He's like, going back to New York.
He's what? He's going back to New York?
He went back to New York for the summer. He said, I'm not even going to be here. He's a Florida resident now, but he's up in.
Yep.
Did he get vaccinated?
He did.
He did. They said he did. But
I think Ivanka did it publicly. She took a picture.
She did it publicly, but then Trump, they said he was vaccinated and Melania before they left the White House, but they never really made a big public thing out of it.
What about Barron?
A lot of people do. I don't know.
Yeah. No idea.
He's not in the at-risk category. I wonder if Trump would do that.
I just think, when New York, they've announced this massive, I think it's like a $17 million expansion. They're funding the Excelsior system. It's more than just vaccines. The Excelsior system is going to track your medical history, period, and your age and a bunch of other things, which means they could actually say, you can't be over 55 to come in here, scan your Excelsior pass. They're really getting into this stuff.
So let me go back to what I was going to say earlier is that, people are generally tribal, right? That's how humanity developed, were these bands of tribes. And then as as cities and then city-states started to become more developed, your tribe expanded, right? And so if you look into, I think we're all generally millennials / elder millennials.
No,
here.
he's a Gen Xer.
I'm
called
right
me
on the
out.
bridge of millennial and Gen Z.
Okay.
What year were you born?
95.
Oh, wow. I think you
he's
were
young.
Gen Z.
95, wow.
I might be. I don't know. I've heard different definitions though.
You're
for some people
you're
that's
kind
right
of on
at
the
the cutoff.
bridge.
Yeah,
You're kind of on the
exactly.
bridge of Gen Z. But anyway, put it this way. So if you look at like 80s, 90s.
You're a millennial.
Right.
Okay.
Your
Sorry.
your
Yeah, I know, it's
tribe
rough.
was generally pretty much the United States of America, right? I'm an American first, and then you're everything else, right? Then you have your religion, and then your state, and then what sports team you like, et cetera, and then the enemy is the Soviets, or then eventually it became the terrorists. You have to say it like that, the terrorists. For a while, but then. Really starting past 2008, and I don't want to make this an Obama thing, but like I think it's more financial as well. That with that financial instability, that you saw a breakup of that idea, and so because in times of scarcity, right, the tribes get smaller, and because we're looking now, we're thinking instead of these abundant. This idea that the future is always going to be great. We're looking to the next frontier. We're sending space shuttles up all the time, right? That's my childhood. Now I take my kids to Cape Canaveral. The space shuttles are in museums, and Elon Musk and Bezos are like doing something, but we're not really sure if it's real or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel the same, right? It doesn't have that same sort of national ethos behind it, the same way that the space shuttle program did, and there's this question of like, what team am I on? Or some people question, are you the left or the right? I don't even remember anyone talking like that when I was younger. It's like, yeah, I voted for the Democrat, I voted for the Republican this time because I like this team better, or I like this political form better. But there wasn't this idea that, you had to be on one side all the time, 24/7. And so the question, really psychologically speaking, is that something that's downstream of economics? The same way that we say politics is downstream from culture, but is culture downstream from economics?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously all really intermingled, but there's something interesting there about resources contracting and then people really wanting to almost oust people from their side. It's almost like this biological response. There's less for
Right.
all of us, so we need to find a reason to expel people so that there's more for me. It is fascinating.
Yeah, it's in-group, out-group.
And I think, ironically enough, that actually exacerbates the problem, too, because the less people are working together, the less able they are to build up the economic resources that would allow for them to not have to oust people.
Historically, part of what would get people ousted too was getting sick, illness, communicable diseases.
Interesting.
You throw them out of the castle. 5-year-old has symptoms, throw them out.
Yeah.
Even if it's your sister's son or whatever.
We need only look at chicken society and to learn our important lesson. When a chicken gets sick or is hobbled or weak, they go nuts. They attack it. They'll kill it.
Now, it's really interesting, though, because something I just said a moment ago, I want to walk back a little bit, or at least expand upon, because I mentioned that when you start ousting people or purging them from your group, people aren't working together, so you're less likely to develop the economic prosperity that would be necessary for people to live in harmony. But I wonder if that's a correction mechanism, because it's very much possible, and I would say probably a concrete fact, that once people are really economically prosperous, they become much less selective about the kind of behavior that they're willing to tolerate. We see this in very developed countries. The moral fabric tends
Right.
to begin to dissipate. And so maybe hard economic times are a correction mechanism for that, and people sort of returning to a structure where they are more selective about the kind of behavior they'll tolerate, because it can't continue forever with anyone doing whatever they want, or else the entire system gets destroyed.
Fourth turning.
It was bad morals that got us into this economic
we're turning.
place, it seems like.
Something really weird happened in the past 5 years with a dramatic cultural shift. And it's funny, we bring it up from time to time, but left and right are meaningless at this point.
Sort of.
I mean, sure, we use them as tribal signifiers for the most part.
They're
But
relative.
I think I've said this before. I do think that the left, in many ways, are descendants of the initial left. When I just look at this main common thread from the left at the time of the French Revolution, when the term was first coined, has always existed to oppose the Catholic Church and its values and battle against tradition. And that's still true today of the left.
But there's this really strange shift that happened. So just before the show, I played the song "Hit That" by The Offspring, and I'm like, if you listen to those lyrics, it sounds like a very conservative song. It's talking about the consequences of hookup culture, and I'm like, if you wrote an article right now, no joke, take The Offspring, punk band, pop punk, mainstream, whatever, but this is 2003. Take that song, take the lyrics, and turn it into an article. So when they say like, the consequences are a life away, you can say like,
imagine putting it into like a relationship article.
Yeah, well, you'd be called far right.
Yeah.
You'd be called far right.
Yeah.
Criticizing Tinder and hookup culture and
misogynistic.
Yep.
Backward, toxic, clearly, anti-female, self-hatred if it was written by a female, author.
She's internalized patriarchy, pure toxic purity culture.
Yes. One of my favorite punk rock songs is "Why Don't You Get a Job." I know it's pop punk. It's not like. Yeah, so I thought about this before. I tweeted about it several months ago, but I was thinking about it again about how do we get to what happened? What happened? Did Trump take a sledgehammer to the system? Did the multiverse shatter and different realities merged and just nothing makes sense
technological anymore? I'm racking my brain for what changed technologically 6-7 years ago. It's the streaming capability. That's something. What were you going to say?
Well, so no. So that whole bit of sort of everybody under 40 knows that this all started with Harambe, but we're not sure why. Right.
True.
But I was talking to a friend of mine recently, who shall remain nameless. But he actually had a good answer for why we all sort of agree that it's Harambe, and what, he looked at Harambe as a symbol of society is just subtly out to get you, and they will just kill you for no reason. That even though not to get into whether or not Harambe should have been killed, but because the kid's in there and all, but that just sort of the larger meta narrative that's going on there, that you could be hanging out one day and that society will just come and boom, like a meat cleaver.
I hear the theory, I respect it, but I think the more obvious theory is just that Harambe was an interdimensional time lord who was holding together the
this is for the members thing. You're gonna get us banned again.
What are you doing? You're gonna shut down completely over here.
The guy who killed Harambe was a secret agent sent from another dimension, and he walks in, he's like a Terminator, takes his glasses off.
The kid that Harambe was trying to protect.
Yeah.
So he's like a future leader.
I don't know if Harambe was trying to protect the kid.
I've seen a really good one, a really good meme of this recently. Quick child, you need to understand. Dr. Fauci is improving experiments with the Wuhan Institute. You've got to warn.
That's right. He's out.
That's hilarious.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.